CBS Evening News this Wednesday. A deadline is set for Christine Blasey Ford to decide whether she'll testify against Brett Kavanaugh. The Florence death toll rises, and the president warns the danger is not over. And several are hurt in a shooting outside a judge's chambers in Pennsylvania. But first, the headlines in 60 seconds.
Will she or won't she testify? That's been the question.
If she doesn't show up, that would be unfortunate.
We have to make plans for her to come, and that's what I'm concentrating.
Anita Hill says a federal investigation would be appropriate before a hearing involving Dr. Ford.
My advice is to push the pause button on this hearing.
Possible active shooter at 1850 Deming Way.
The shooting at a commercial building in Wisconsin today. 4 injured.
The suspect is dead after being shot by officers.
President Trump is touring the Carolinas today, visiting areas devastated by Hurricane Florence.
Our entire American family is with you and ready to help.
The woman who helped kidnap Elizabeth Smart is now free.
Wanda Barzee released after spending more than 15 years behind bars.
The leaders of North and South Korea signing a wide-ranging peace agreement.
Kim Jong-un pledging to completely dismantle a key nuclear test site, but only if the U.S. takes corresponding measures.
The big question now is how much of it will actually happen.
This is the Fenway Park. Like, how do we have this?
Red Sox division title banner falls off truck, found by 2 townies.
We want to give it back to them, but we're looking for something.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Glor. We are going to begin with the latest on Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and his accuser. The Republican chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee says Christine Blasey Ford has until Friday to submit her testimony to the panel, saying she can appear in public or private on Monday. Her lawyer says Ford will not testify until the FBI investigates her accusations. The Bureau has no plans to do that right now. Tonight, Chuck Grassley said a hearing will go on if Dr. Ford is there or not. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill tonight with the latest on this. And Nancy, the story seems to change by the hour.
It really does, Jeff. In fact, Ford's lawyers tonight are reacting to the Republican plan to move ahead with this hearing despite their objections, telling the Washington Post that this is, quote, not a fair or good faith investigation. Republicans insist Ford is the one moving the goalposts, vowing to testify and then imposing conditions.
I really want to see her. I really would want to see what she has to say.
President Trump urged Kavanaugh's accuser today to testify, but rejected her request for an investigation first.
Well, it would seem that the FBI really doesn't do that.
Democrats said the FBI does.
Excuse me, this is their job. This is their job. They vet all of our nominees.
Should the FBI investigate the allegations?
As Judge Brett Kavanaugh prepped for the hearing today, Christine Blasey Ford, a California psychologist, remained in hiding after accusing him of assaulting her at a high school party. Alabama Democrat Doug Jones.
A woman who has come forward, who is receiving death threats now, has had to move out of her home, and it seems like the only thing that we hear from the Republicans on the other side and the president is poor Judge Kavanaugh.
Samantha Gary is one of Ford's former classmates.
I think she's holding up admirably, but this is a very trying, frightening time for her.
Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley offered Ford a buffet of ways to tell her story.
Either in an open session, or a closed session, or a public, or a private interviews. That's 4 different ways she can choose to come.
But Republicans oppose the one option Democrats say would lead to the truth. What's wrong with allowing an FBI investigation?
I don't have enough information to make that determination. I don't have any information.
But isn't that why you do an FBI investigation?
That's why you do a public hearing.
The FBI did examine Anita Hill's harassment claims against Clarence Thomas in 1991.
These FBI reports are extremely important.
In an interview today, Hill said a hearing is worth little without a probe first.
The hearing questions need to have a frame, and the investigation is the best frame for that, a neutral investigation that can pull together the facts.
In a new letter this evening, Grassley told Democrats that his committee aides can do this investigation themselves and that they're already reaching out to a number of potential witnesses. Republicans know that an FBI probe could be time-consuming and unpredictable, and those are risks, Jeff, that they just don't want to take.
All right, Nancy Cordes, thank you very much. The president has made no secret of his disdain for one of the senior members of his cabinet, and his criticism reached a new level today. Paula Reed is at the White House.
As he left the White House this morning, President Trump once again attacked Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for numerous reasons.
Trump has repeatedly criticized Sessions for recusing himself in the Russia investigation. In an interview with The Hill Tuesday, he escalated his attacks, saying, "I don't have an attorney general. It's very sad," and said he was unhappy with Sessions' work at the border. Sessions has typically stayed quiet in the wake of such attacks. In August, he issued a rare statement noting his unprecedented success at effectuating the president's agenda. At the border, Sessions has diligently worked to deliver on the president's campaign promises, expediting deportations, limiting asylum seekers, and opposing sanctuary cities. In his interview with two conservative commentators from The Hill, the president also took aim at another frequent target, federal law enforcement. He described the FBI's Russia investigation as a cancer and suggested that declassifying documents related to the investigation will be one of his crowning achievements. Today, Attorney General Jeff Sessions spoke to a group of law enforcement officials in Waukegan, Illinois.
We believe that law enforcement is a noble profession and one that demands respect.
Sessions did not directly respond to the president's attacks, but we were given an advance copy of his remarks, and we noticed when he actually delivered that speech, he took out a reference to President Trump improving morale among law enforcement. Jeff?
All right, Paula, thanks very much. We're going to move now to a story that unfolded this afternoon in western Pennsylvania, where a man opened fire outside a judge's office. At least 4 were hurt, including a police officer. The shooter is dead tonight. Julie Grant of our CBS station KDKA is in Masontown, Pennsylvania. Julie, what can you tell us about this?
Jeff, good evening to you. The community here in Masontown is visibly shaken up. This is a business district where this occurred, and people have been lining the streets all afternoon in shock and disbelief at what occurred in this quiet, peaceful community and at this municipal court building right behind me. It was around 2 o'clock today. It was business as usual at the magistrate court when a gunman opened fire, first blowing out the entrance to the courtroom, blowing out the glass doors, and then going in and shooting. There were about 60 people inside of that building. You can imagine the terror and the horror. Witnesses saying they heard screaming as people were trying to get out of the way of the shooter. We understand the shooter was scheduled to appear in court on domestic violence charges of strangulation and terroristic threats, and a police officer was shot in the hand. He was helped by a Good Samaritan out in the parking lot behind me. Jeff?
All right, Julie, thank you. Frightening situation there. We're going to move now to Madison, Wisconsin, where there was another shooting today. 4 people were wounded when a gunman started firing in the offices of a computer software company. The police shot and killed that man who worked at the company. Investigators say he had a semi-automatic pistol and several magazines of ammunition.